4 critical steps to quickly and easily launching a thriving small business employing the HYPO FEAR test process adapted from lean startup techniques that I've learned from working at the Cambridge Innovation Center with a number of clients and in building my own small business. I'm James Lopata of innerOvation, and I want to talk first about the number one problem that people have in building a small business. It's basically that we begin to invest time, energy, and money, and then we invest more time, energy, and money, and more time, energy, and money, and we don't get a lot of income, let alone profit, that exceeds expenses. So the question is, how do we get out of the expense trap and create a profit stream that allows us to have a thriving business? Now, we all get lots of advice when we start a small business. I began hearing about creating a niche, a narrow audience that I'm interested in. I heard about webinars. I heard about blogging and advertising. I heard don't quit your day job. And then I heard boldness has greatness in it, so do quit your day job. Then I heard market making apps are where it's at. Market making apps are oversaturated. I heard about using lots of social media. I heard about the Android is the best platform. Then I heard the iPhone is the best platform. I heard get an office. I heard don't get an office, work from home and save money. I heard teach classes, access magazines, freelance, write a book. Just try a bunch of stuff and see what works. You'll find your way. It began to sound a lot like just throwing spaghetti at the wall, which didn't sound like a really effective system to me. The question I had, which you probably have, is what is the quickest, most reliable path for you? That's the question I needed to answer. And along the way, I've discovered what I call the HYPO FEAR test process. The HYPO FEAR test process. And this is a 4-step process where you begin by hypothesizing your vision, and then you find your fear within it. You find the thing that's scariest about it. You create a test to prove whether or not you can get over that fear. And then based on the results of that test, you decide whether you're going to persevere and continue with the vision that you've hypothesized, or whether you need to pivot and move to a new hypothesis and a new vision. So we begin first with hypothesizing your vision. And it begins with envisioning. So most processes involve kind of creating some sense of what you're looking for in the future. So I began doing that by saying I want to have a lot of clients, I want to be making a lot of money such that I can take exotic vacations and have a beautiful office, a wonderful home, that I can excel with some sort of expertise in an area, and that I have a wonderful relationship. This was the vision that I began to put together. And rather than sticking with that vision, sometimes we create a vision and then as we try to move forward toward it, it doesn't always work out the way that we want. We get frustrated. I decided to let that go and say, this is a hypothesis. This is a best guess about what my future could look like. Now from that vision, that hypothesis, I get to look at the fear. What is the thing that is scariest about it? So in terms of finding my fear, I put my vision in front of me and I look at the different areas and say, okay, what areas am I afraid of? What areas scare me most? So when I looked at it, I thought, do I think I can get a lot of people to work with? Do I have enough expertise? Do I think I can make enough money? The big question for me was, what is the biggest, scariest thing such that if it cannot be done, then you will not be able to achieve your vision? Again, what is the biggest, scariest thing such that if it cannot be done, then you will not be able to achieve your vision? And in my vision, I discovered that it's the point between the people and the money. Could I get people to pay me money for my services? That was the scariest part for me. I wasn't sure that I could do that. So what I needed to do was I needed to look at that area and create a test to discover whether or not I could get over that fear. So the test that I created was to look at that intersection and then find a smallest test that I could create. And the smallest test that I could create to prove this was to say, can I get one person? If I can get one person to pay me, then that will prove that test and I can continue with the vision. So I created a test, I talked to some people, and you know what? Within a week, I had somebody who was paying me to be a client. Yes. Now, the test could have proved no. And that's a possibility. And that's where we get to the process part. So we process, and based on how we process the results of the test, we decide whether or not we're going to persevere or pivot. So for me, the yes meant that I wanted to persevere. If it had been a no, I probably would have wanted to pivot. So with my yes, I moved back into the cycle. I hypothesized my vision again, went back there. I looked again to find a new fear. And my next fear, I decided that the big fear was, could I get a bunch of people to pay me money? So I needed to test that. And from that, I created a brand and wanted to see if people would be attracted to me such that I could get several clients. And that proved to be true. Within about a month, I had a number of paying clients. And so then I got to move back into the hypothesis of my vision, the yes, and through the cycle again. Now the next time through, I actually got a no, which meant that I needed to pivot. And from that pivot, I went and I had to rehypothesize and move through the cycle all over again. Now, when people look at their fear, a number of my clients found different types of fears. So mine was about getting paying clients. One of my clients, his biggest fear was that he didn't have the expertise. So he had to create a test around that to see whether he was an expert or not. Another client's fear was about being able to talk to people. So he had to create a test about whether or not he was able to actually go and talk to people and engage people enough to make his business worthwhile. So you'll need to find the fears that work for you based on your hypothesis, finding that fear, testing it, and then persevering or pivot. And that's the entire cycle by which you can quickly and easily iterate into a successful, thriving business. Now, the one part that gets a little tricky is in the process part. If you have to pivot, there's lots of different ways of doing that. You may not have to abandon your business. You may want to look at a different market segment. You may need to look at a different product. And this is one of the things that I want to look at a future video. So if you're interested, let me know, and I'll let you know when that video is out. But in the meantime, I've created the HYPO FEAR TEST PROCESS worksheet. And this is a worksheet that you can use to help you work through this process on your own. And if you want to, you can download it from this website below, or go to www.innerOvation.com to access the worksheet as well. So there you have it. That's my process for creating a thriving small business, launching it early on. I call it, again, the HYPO FEAR TEST process. And I love comments. So if you like this video, please send me some comments. Let me know what works. Tell me some things that you're doing that work for you. Or email me at more@innerOvation.com or leave comments at innerOvation.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.